we have a problem, okay? And that problem right now is the fact that Caitlyn Jenner is back in the news. We're going to have to deal with Caitlyn Jenner being back in the news for a while now, because it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere from the public sphere. Caitlyn Jenner has decided that she is going to run for governor of California. And she is running as a basically a Trump Republican. Very aggressive on immigration, very, pro police state, deregulation, low taxes, even as we would find anti-trans children participating in sports, even though she is a trans athlete, is really bad. And this interview is interesting for a million reasons. But one reason it is sadly interesting is what happens when you go into the comments section. And these are the people that Caitlyn Jenner needs to win over. In order to, win the race. Let's go into the comment section quick. Now, the first comment is, "This is the most Jenner I have heard, seen since I was born. How does so much common sense exist after spending a lifetime around the Kardashian women?" Okay. Haha, little joke there, right? But if you go through, maybe this wasn't the one I saw. Where was it? It was the other Caitlyn Jenner interview where you went to the comment section and you saw the groups of people she had to win over to actually win. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it quick. Where is it? One second. Let's see if I can find it again. Caitlyn, because some of these I think have been a moment. Jenner news. There we go. That should help. I'm 100% behind the police force. This was the one. Okay. So if you go into the comment section, what do you see? It's like it came down from a bad hit of acid in the 16 wants to go back. Okay, whatever. Life is becoming what we used to see on TV and movies. This was too surreal for me. The fucking world has gone insane. I still have the box of Wheaties when Jenner was on the front, and I'm amazed how the world has changed. Look, we're on a South Park parody now. We're truly leaving in the most insane timeline. South Park is going to have a field day with this one. I'm just here for the ride at this point. Well, if I agree with him/her, I guess I need to bring a jacket when I die because hell is officially frozen over. When I heard this, I was like, yeah, okay, now I've seen it. This is beyond South Park now. If you wear a mask while walking or driving alone, we know who you voted for. OMG, Caitlyn, you got my vote, etc., 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 right? So this, like Caitlyn, since Bruce or not, she's an independent thinker who's not afraid to go the route feels correct. 80s comedy, they call me Bruce. 20s reality, they used to call me Bruce, now they call me Caitlyn. Now, the thing is, what I was noticing not only from like comment sections and stuff on Twitter, it was a pretty a big theme of all of this. Was people saying like, Caitlyn Jenner? You can't be conservative and support this trans person. Or even when they were trying to side with Caitlyn Jenner, what they would do. And I can show you the exact thumbnail that Matt Walsh made. Like, oh, this is the conservative party now. The second thing I saw a lot of is even if you supported Caitlyn Jenner's points, which, by the way, you shouldn't because they're terrible. It was a lot of like, I support what he said. Like they would put like a really strong he at the end of it or something like that. They would capitalize him, like make it very clear what side of the issue when it comes to her identity they stand on. Very, very strongly against her identifying as a woman. Sorry for the coffee. We might get a little bit of that today. And so what I'm realizing is as Caitlyn Jenner does her best to throw trans youth under the bus with her backing trans youth being kicked out of sports and all this other stuff. Not to mention the fact she's siding with the party that was just behind the trans-military ban, was part of the party and now supported the presidency, which had Mike Pence as VP, the person famous for conversion therapy to the rest of the LGBT community.
A curd is a curd.
What I quickly realized was that Caitlyn Jenner will not only throw other trans people under the bus, she will throw the entire LGBTQ plus community under the bus. She will throw other marginalized groups under the bus. Then she'll do all of that only to get to the end zone where she has a campaign and she's gone Fox News and doing all of this stuff to run against Gavin Newsom. She will lose against Gavin Newsom, but to run against Gavin Newsom and the whole time getting slapped and spit on by the people she's trying to win over. People who don't really think she's a quote-unquote real woman. That even if they agree with her policies and end up voting for her, the whole time they'll say it, even though she's this disgusting trans person, I will vote for her because I hate the Democrats so much. She is quite literally allowing herself to be humiliated in the public square and get the people who will humiliate her in the public square to support her in order to win this election, which she will not win because she's a Republican in California. It is extremely depressing. It is extremely sad. And it's really disappointing. I was going through these comments and these tweets and all this, and it was really disheartening. I'm used to homophobia from the right. I recently had that whole blood infection, and I was just going over like all the medical problems I had with that, and I saw a few people come out of the woodwork to go like, see, this is what happens with the gay lifestyle. Even though I'm telling you, I didn't get sick from the gay lifestyle. I didn't get a blood infection from any of that. I probably got it from having to share the same earth as these mouth breathers who make tweets like that all the time. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. This is just really sad. This is really sad. You see somebody throw their own community, the LGBTQ plus community at large under the bus, throw all these communities under the bus, and publicly side with the side that doesn't think you're a real woman, and allow yourself to be used as a political tool. I am not saying that trans people can't have different varying ideologies, but when you very publicly can see that they're, with their own policies on sports, for example, throwing their own community under the bus, and you see the supporters of this person, supporters being the people who come out and say, even though they're not really a woman, I'll support them. Those type of disgusting people. That's what she's putting herself through. And she is going to be trying to paint herself as the public representation of the trans community at the whole time, too. Anyway, not a great situation right now to be in. It's extremely disappointing. So, we're going to watch her interview. By the way, this interview was just chock full of complete nonsense. And I wanted to watch this interview and see exactly what Caitlyn had to say. Because you know what? So far, it's been awful, but maybe the interview will change my mind. Let's see.
Caitlyn Jenner now joins us.
Wait a second. After that opening?
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
That's the campaign?
Yeah. I'm moving on. Yeah, that was the scariest thing I've ever heard. Yeah.
Well, it's all true.
It is true. It absolutely is true. First of all, I got a gift.
Oh, thank you. What is it?
I know.
love gifts.
We're into the face mask thing out here in California, so I thought I would get you one.
Hannity supports Caitlyn. He's not allowed to. He's on the news. Okay.
recalled Gavin
Recall-
Newsom.
By the way, I support the recall.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing when you think about it. I just have such respect for athletes. You know, you didn't win the gold in 72. You came back in 76, and you won the gold. A great Olympian, a great champion. And you really, well, I always say politics is a blood sport.
It is.
And a part of me say, what the hell are you thinking? This is hard.
It was not an easy decision. It took an awfully long time. I've always been involved in politics. For the LGBT community, I used to go back. But in 1973, I graduated.
I'm sure being active in LGBTQ plus activism is really going to help you with the crowd of voters you're going to need to win. I'm sure that's going to help. But let me just emphasize here. Caitlyn Jenner has no experience in politics. Basically zero. No experience in politics, basically whatsoever. And I don't know how you're going to try to twist it. There's this thing where no matter what profession you have, people think they can twist that profession into being good at politics, right? For example, yes, I was a school janitor. No disrespect to school janitors, but this is how they usually do this. I was a school janitor. So if I go to DC, I'm going to clean up corruption. Or I don't know, you'll be a pilot and you'll say, yeah, I used to fly planes and I'm going to fly all the lobbyists out of DC. Or I was an athlete so I can outpace the competition. That's not how it works, okay? No. Most of politics is paperwork, contacts, and power plays. Not to mention like complicated like procedure. Oh, and of course lobbying. Like none of these things are covered by the job you did for the vast majority of your life. So don't stop trying to make these random jobs somehow applicable to this. If it's applicable in some way, it's usually only applicable in this way. And this is something I will actually respect. Yeah, I was a car mechanic, so I understand the struggles of the working class. That's something that actually works. But you can be like, I'm a car mechanic, so, I'm going to fix up America the way I fixed up a Subaru. Like, no, I don't care. I don't care about the time you fixed up a Subaru. Okay, sorry. And Doghouse, thank you very much for the kind wishes.
Graduated from college in Iowa. I packed up my 63 VW Bug and drove across the country, everything I owned in the back seat. And I was coming to California, the Golden State. I went to San Jose. Why? Because San Jose was where all the great athletes lived. I had met him in my first Olympics in 1972. And me as a decathlete, I wanted to learn from...
Oh, that's a good one, chat. I love the one of, he was a good businessman, so he can run the country well. The thing is, can you imagine being a business, if we ran the thing like a business? All these retirees are becoming a real drain on the system. We gotta cut them out. We gotta lower these disability checks going out. We need to get the lowest amount of disability checks going out. We need to protect the bottom dollar. The investors would be angry. Could you imagine coming in and saying, like, the American people, like, we need to protect the youth, or we need to fund this program? I was like, sorry, the bondholders would be angry. I'm sorry. We need to protect the bottom line of the bondholders. It wouldn't work. I'm sorry.
From all these other great athletes. In fact, in 1976, we placed fifth as a nation with 3 gold medals, a silver and a bronze within a 5-mile radius of my house. I put myself with some of these great athletes and I learned so much. I want to do the same thing now. I want to take that same fight, that same spirit, go to Sacramento, surround myself with some of the smartest people out there. I am an outsider. I understand that. Smartest people out there, because now I'm in a race for solutions. I need to find solutions to be able to turn this state around. I gotta say,
I understand the like dynamic of I'm gonna surround myself with smart people, which is something I usually am like happy to hear. Like somebody like I want to rely on experts. I want to rely on like expert opinion. But in this instance, she's using it as an excuse for I have no experience and I have no knowledge whatsoever how to do this job. So she's basically like saying I want to surround myself with smart people to make up with the fact that I'm stupid. That's what it sounds like. It is. I'm fine with surrounding yourself with experts to supplement the knowledge you already have. But so far, she doesn't have any political knowledge. She doesn't have any knowledge of how legislating and any of this works.
Love this state. I'm a fighter, always have been. I come from a long line of fighters. My grandfather was in World War I, was in the dead pile. Somebody was walking by and heard a moan, and they said, oh my God, somebody's alive in here, and pulled him out, and he wound up going on and living a very good life.
Dead pile, I mean, they thought that he was dead.
He thought he was dead. Yeah, he had the tag on his foot and everything. But went on to live a good life. My father, when he was 19, in fact, welcome to my hangar. This is actually my hangar. I have pictures on the wall of my father over there when he was 19. When World War II was breaking out, he wanted to fight. And so he joined the 5th Ranger Battalion. Landed with the first boats on Omaha Beach. 364 guys in his division, 60.
I love, the thing is, she's trying to do the outsider angle while also being exceptionally wealthy. And Trump was able to do that. But Trump also did that by punching down towards marginalized community. And Caitlyn Jenner is going to try to do that as well, I assume, right? As she's doing while she's trying to throw trans people under the bus. But she has to do that while being a member of the marginalized community she's punching down at. So she's a political outsider, but also, so she's an outsider. But she can't really be part of the working class because right now she's talking about her own hangar, right? For her own private jet and her own multi-million-dollar lifestyle, right? So she can't really pull the working class narrative out there. Not gonna work. She can punch down to make up for it like Trump did. But again, she's part of that community that would be punching down with. And when people punch down towards that community, they're also going to be punching at Caitlyn, right? So I don't really see the path here. I really don't think Caitlyn Jenner has a path. The only path that really is available to her is celebridom, that she's a famous celebrity. Therefore, some people will fill in the dot because she's a famous celebrity. But that's not going to be enough to pull her over the top. She's not Arnold Schwarzenegger or like The Rock, right? She isn't that level of famous celebridom.
Came back alive.
Wow. Let me get
and
into,
just so he's buried at Arlington with all his buddies. And I thought to myself, you know what? If we can fight, because we got to fight, and you say it all the time. If we can fight, somebody's got to stand up. You know, I'm not going up Omaha Beach. I'm going up again in Sacramento. But we have to change things. I love this country. I'm a patriarch. I love this state. The state's done so much for me over the years. We have to change things. I love this country. I'm a patriarch. I love this state.
I think she meant to say patriot.
Done so much for me over the years, but I've watched it crumble right in front of my eyes. And you got to stand up, you know? And so I knew it would not be easy. I knew it'd be tough. But you know what? California's worth fighting for. And that's what I'm doing.
let's talk about, I want to, in the course of the time we have here together,
Right.
I want to get specific.
Okay.
On very specific issues. Let's start with a general overall, overarching. I want you to grade Gavin Newsom. I want you to define what a compassionate disruptor is, words you've used to describe yourself. And then we'll get into the specifics of what it would take to for California, a state you clearly love, to recover? And are you a
Gavin
Republican
Newsom,
or Democrat? You know,
what I see in Gavin Newsom is a politician up to special interests, makes his decision as a politician in special interests, and the hypocrisy that is going on right now. It's like there's one set of rules for Sacramento, and there's another set of rules for everybody else. I mean, you've seen the video of him at the French Laundry, okay? I can't go down to my restaurant and all the employees in that restaurant.
The thing is, when you think about those who want the Republican Party to take back power, and this is not to try to say that Gavin Newsom doesn't adhere to any special interests, but if Caitlyn Jenner ends up being the Republican governor nomination, her biggest donors are going to be special interest groups. She's not going to pull the whole Trump, and Trump didn't even do this, but she's not going to pull the whole, I'm going to completely fund my own campaign, I don't need a dime. That's not going to happen. She's going to take monetary donations for a campaign, and she's going to take it from special interest groups. So anybody at any point says that the other person is up for special interests, especially considering the state that Caitlyn Jenner's running in and the party that Caitlyn Jenner's running with, just look at the donor sheets. Look at the public information that's going to be made available. What is it going to say? It's not going to say Caitlyn Jenner, and that's it. It's not going to say Caitlyn Jenner and the grandma on 5th Street who just really wants patriotism returned to the streets of California. It doesn't want to be harassed by Antifa. That's not what it's going to say. It's going to be special interest groups. They're oil companies or electric companies trying to reverse certain regulations in California. Manufacturers. Who knows?
Down there are not working, okay? And he's up there dining. We see Nancy Pelosi. I can't go to my hair salon. All the salons in my town are closed. Nobody can go in there. Nobody's working. People are losing money. But she can sneak in. And it's the hypocrisy of what's going on. Yes, it is a dynasty, I guess you could say, in Sacramento. They've really been in charge.
Oil companies love Newsom, though. The thing is, oil companies will court both parties. That happens all the time. A lot of people think that, like, what happens is a interest group will just back one side. That's not the case. If you look at donor sheets, they'll sometimes back both sides. Therefore, no matter who wins, they're fine. Oil companies will do that. A lot of electric companies, a lot of companies will actually do that.
For the last 40 years. I mean, we had Reagan
and of
come
course
in a little
the NRA.
bit,
You're right,
Arnold
Dog
come in a little bit as Republicans, but it's been a dynasty. And as we see what happens here, and in the recall, everybody was behind the recall. They needed 1.5 million votes. They got 2.1. But of course, the Democrats had to verify every signature. Mm-hmm. Isn't it shocking?
It doesn't shock me.
And eventually they had wound up, after they disallowed like 500,000 of them, and they had 1.6. So the recall is on. But I'm really fighting against the hypocrisy that's going on at that. He's been bad on every issue. He's bad on taxes. Obviously, the most taxed state in the nation. He's been horrible for business. Obviously, companies are leaving left and right. 18,000 companies have left California. My friends are leaving California. Actually, we're at my hangar. The guy across right over from me, he was packing up his hangar. I said, "Where are you going?" And he's,
I can't listen to this talk. I'm sorry. This is just bad This is bad politics when you try. Oh my gosh. Me, a rich person, I was doing stuff in my hangar, and across my street, my friend, who also has a hangar, because, you know, all my friends have hangars, they were packing up their stuff. Now, why were they packing up their stuff, Caitlyn?
he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless. I don't want to leave."
What? How? This... Whoa. The other day, I was walking and I tripped on a Vietnam veteran. How disgusting. Can't even get me like a modern war like Afghanistan anymore. We have to downgrade. Wow. Man, I can't... I wonder why she doesn't have a shot. It's just not fair. Huh? Why are you running? And we're not even 7 minutes into the interview. Me and my friends were tripping over the homeless the other day, and we just got so fed up we considered moving. I won't, though, because I care. I want to deal with the homelessness problem. The thing is, painting the homelessness crisis as a burden to rich people is not the way to go. You have to paint the homelessness crisis as a crisis for homeless people. I know and this is a huge problem for me. When homelessness gets attention, it's not because homeless people went to news outlets and all this and got them to bring attention to it. It's when non-homeless people start to notice, especially non-homeless people with wealth and power, like Caitlyn Jenner. Notice when you see a story or people at the city council talking about homelessness, it's never, "Hi everyone, I'm a homeless resident." It's, "I was walking down the street and and there were so many homeless people. It's disgusting. It's gross." Of course, there's also anti-homeless activists that go there, but it's never the actual homeless individuals that are given the mic. It's either anti-homeless activists, which are great people, or it's rich, powerful people who hate how all these homeless people are killing the vibe, you know? So in the entirety of this interview, what we've gotten so far is, I'm an athlete, so I'd be like a good politician, completely pointless. Some weird, comment about the homeless and how that's an issue for her rich friends, and just her talking about her hangar, her airplane hangar. I wonder why she isn't polling so well.
Okay, either I stay and fight or I get out of here.
Let's describe, you can answer the specifics. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you independent? And I really want you to define this term, a compassionate disruptor. What is a compassionate disruptor?
I've kind of played around with that term. And originally I started out as a compassionate disruptor. And then I was thinking the other day, I think I'm more of a thoughtful disruptor. I have common sense. Okay, I see what's going on and I see no common sense in politics and why they're doing it, besides only for political reasons. And I have always been on the Republican side just because I have conservative economic values.
You read something from chat. It is gross. Here in Portland, you walk through the central business district and you're stepping over people, their animals, smelling marijuana, while smelling marijuana and urine. Why are you guys pretending that isn't gross? I never said that people, of course, having lower amounts of medical attention and public facilities, stuff like that, means that sometimes gross things like that will happen. A lot of times it isn't the homeless that necessarily cause that, like marijuana smell, like that could be from literally anywhere. Also, people sometimes, go behind back alleys, piss. But let's all assume that that is done by specifically the homeless because, they don't have access to facilities. This is like in the middle of a terror attack. Someone gets shot and killed, right? And some of their blood dribbles on your shoe. Now, everybody else is there like, that's terrible. We need to show compassion to the person who was just shot. We need to deal with this issue. How do we address terrorism? How do we address this threat? Should we have a conversation about mental health care? Do we have a conversation about the radical ideology behind it? And everybody's having that conversation. And then you take off your shoe, hold it up and say, some blood got on it. Now, that is an issue. that blood got on your shoe. That's very inconvenient for you. I acknowledge that. But I think the microphone should mostly, in that situation, be headed towards the person who was shot. The individual who had to deal with the actual full-blown results of this. This is a silly, inappropriate analogy. Okay, for you, your problem with homelessness is that you have to smell marijuana and have to step over people. For the individual who is homeless, it is their fingers get numb from the cold at night. They have no one looking out from them. They get no medical attention. They have no shelter. They don't get to eat on many days. People don't want to even look them in the eye because they see them, like you, many others, see them just as a burden. There's terrible discrimination against them, and it's nearly impossible for them to get a jobs a lot of times for them being homeless. Got to fill out an address for a lot of people. Many jobs will see them as unreliable. They don't even have access to proper cleaning facilities and sometimes access to like proper receptacles. I think the analogy makes sense because while the problem of you having to step over them is an issue, it's nothing compared to the actual individual involved. And so when people complain like that, it honestly ends up feeling like they're whining. I care more about those homeless veterans than the wealthier individuals who step over them while doing their 9 to 5. When it comes to that specific situation, I care about all these people in general, but when it comes to who gets the full blunted impact of homelessness, who feels that impact, it is the homeless people.
The old saying, lower taxes, less regulations, a more friendly business environment. And we don't have that in California. But socially, I've been much more progressive all my life. I get it. People do need help. We need programs. But you cannot have social programs without an economy. Doesn't happen. You just don't have the finances to do it. And that's what's happening here in California. And so it's been so frustrating for me. I don't care. Honestly, I like everybody. I'm friends with everybody.
I don't like everybody. There are people I don't like in life. But
I can get along with anybody, Sean. I can get along. So honestly, I don't really care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a libertarian, vegetarian. It doesn't make any difference to me. I want solutions.
She said
the
absolutely
Democrats
nothing.
are able to come up with great solutions.
Said absolutely
I am
nothing.
behind that 100%. Solutions to bring this state back and to give the power of this state back to the people and not to special interests in Gavin Newsom.
Now let's get to specifics.
Uh-oh.
No, uh-oh.
Let's go. Hit me with
Okay,
it.
California is a sanctuary state.
Yes.
You have sanctuary cities. Would you eliminate sanctuary status for the state of California?
I would keep it a sanctuary state for small businesses.
Meaning?
Meaning I want small businesses to come into this state. I want people to create.
What is that dodge? She doesn't have a chance in hell. You want to know what? Okay. This is how I would answer it, of course. I'd be like, of course, we need to keep sanctuary status. We need to protect these vulnerable people. The proper Republican response has to be something along the lines of course not. We have law and order in this country, and you cannot cross this border illegally. You can't. We have a border, we believe in a wall, and we believe in the nation state. Without a border, you don't have a country. That's the Republican answer. That's the answer she's supposed to give to make those people that she needs to get from the Republican side to respect her. Even though they never will, just plain pretend here like she has a chance. Instead, of course, she does. Well, how about we make it a sanctuary city for businesses? because she can't answer questions like that.
Wealthier. I want them to employ people. Yeah, but as far as immigration,
There we go.
no,
Let's get it.
I am not on that. We need to spend some money to have a fair and equitable immigration
No, I'm not on that. Like, they're very quickly trying to get past it, right?
system in this state.
Gavin Newsom, for the record, he's given $500 checks to illegal immigrants.
Yes.
Guaranteeing health care for illegal immigrants.
Right.
He's guaranteeing education for illegal immigrants.
It's so based.
It's a big issue. What would you do different? For example, if you could, would you continue building the border wall?
The correct answer is $1,000 instead of $500.
I am all for the wall. I would secure the wall. We can't have a state. We can't have a country without a secure
See,
wall.
there it is. Hey, look, there it is. There's the proper Republican answer every time. Okay, when brought under pressure, if you don't choose my policy, we don't have a country anymore. Just pull the lever. Just pull it.
You have two questions here. One is stopping people from coming in illegally into the state. And then the second question is, what do we do with the people that are here? We are a compassionate country. Okay, we are.
We don't have a country without a wall. Was what she? I think did she say that?
We can't have a country without a secure wall.
Wow. Ever since 1989, Germany has completely lost its statehood, apparently. After the Berlin Wall came down, Germany ceased to exist. It's crazy, man. We can go through a ton of Europe and just, they don't exist, all these countries. Why do we even have embassies there? The Caitlyn Jenner foreign policy would just be to just delete all of our embassies in Europe. NATO has completely collapsed. I see no walls between their countries. Because if we have no country without a wall, then, man, that's bizarre. There's just so many countries in the world that don't exist.
You have two questions here. One is stopping people from coming in illegally into the state. And then the second question is, what do we do with the people that are here? We are a compassionate country. Okay, we are.
It's funny how Dylan Burn treats her statement so literally yet ironically. Well, no, when somebody says we don't have a country without a wall, how am I supposed to treat that? Like, what's the point being made there, right? The point being made is that nation states exist because of borders. Borders dictate the nation state. That's the point being made there, which you can have a border without having a wall. You can. It's quite literally. Borders, when you talk about it, really is a social construct line on a map. Those still exist.
Our compassionate state. Some help. I mean, some people we're going to send back. Okay, no question about that.
Also, walls don't. I don't if she's backing the Trumpian wall all across the border, that's also just a terrible waste of money. Like a waste of money that would be ineffective.
But I have met some of the greatest immigrants into our country. I had a guy the other day, and he was Spanish, and I've known him for 17 years. And I said, you know what, come over here. I want to learn something. What is your status? And he said, I've been in this country 17 years. This is a gentleman. I mean, this is the greatest guy. I want him to be a U.S. citizen, okay? He's an asset to this state and to this country. But he's been trying for 17 years to get citizenship. He says, I'm hoping...
Did he come in illegally, or did he stay over?
I think it was on a visa.
On a visa.
Yeah, and stayed. But he's been there, but has lost 2 jobs because he didn't have legal status. He finally got this other job where I met him. And he is the nicest, greatest guy. He would make... I would do everything.
Sean Hannity's trying to figure out whether to demonize the guy or support that. Wait, okay, so he's an immigrant. Okay, so the default is demonize. Wait, Jenner is praising them. Okay, recalculate. Or did they come here illegally? Visa. Okay, did they overstay the visa? Laborer, 17 years. Like doing the deep math on like how we're gonna talk about the guy.
For him to stay here, and. So you have to deal with it. We have to modernize We have not modernized our immigration system in the United States to make it possible to people to immigrate into
Let
this
me ask the
country.
question
It's
this
such a
way.
ridiculous
Would you
process.
allow the state to work with ICE and enforce the laws? In other words, people get out of jail. They are supposed to be deported. Would you eliminate all of the sanctuary status that currently exists in this state?
Sean Hannity's been trying to get her to answer this question now for about what, like 3 to 4 to 5 minutes.
I would do my absolute best to do that. It's not going to be
There
easy.
we go.
But
she didn't want to. She's playing she's trying to ride a hard line that's just not going to work here.
I
Right
do
there.
my absolute best. I am for securing this state. I am pro law enforcement. I am pro border protection. Okay, ICE, pro ICE. We need these people, and they do a wonderful job.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
I kind of want to watch more of this interview, but I think watching any more Caitlyn Jenner will cause my mind to break. So we're just gonna have to cut it off there.